Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Cristina Schaefer, Social Media Manager for HAR. I'm joined this morning by Realtor champion, if you will, Shad Bogany. I'm going to have you introduce yourself in just a moment, but before we do, I want to let everyone know that this week's HAR On The Move podcast and Member Focus Monday are sponsored by Drees Custom Homes. They have been developing luxury home communities in Texas for more than 30 years, so we'll talk about them a little bit later, but for now, Shad, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I can't believe this is your first time coming on here.
I can't believe it either.
And I can't believe it because of how well known and how involved you are in our industry. For those members that maybe don't know who you are, if you don't mind just doing a quick introduction of who you are and how you're involved.
Well, I am a partnership specialist for the U.S. Census. So 2020 Census, my role with the Census has been to get Realtors involved and also HOAs involved. I'm past chairman of the Houston Association of Realtors. I had hair back then. And I'm also past chairman of the Texas Association of Realtors. So that's my involvement.
Yes, and you're an HAR member.
I'm an HAR member.
Platinum subscriber.
I'm in the Tree Pack Hall of Fame.
Tree Pack Hall of Fame.
All of that good
Everything.
stuff. Everything.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much for being involved and being here this morning to talk to us about the census. I just wanted to, you're a realtor, you're busy, you're involved with all these things. Why did you decide to get involved with the census this year?
My main reason is because it affects my industry probably more than any other industry out there. We use the census data every day to determine where we're going to open up a business. We commercial people use it to determine if there are enough rooftops, there are enough medium incomes for people to be able to set up a business. Residential development has a lot to do with the census. Infrastructure. We're saying, hey, we need streets here, we need our freeways less congested. All it has to deal with census. Schools, we talk all the time about schools being redistricting. They're redistricting because they got too many students.
Right.
But a lot of that is because we've been undercounted. And if we counted 10 years ago, those babies, if we had counted them 10 years ago, we would know that they would be 10 years old, 10 years, and we need to adjust for the schools. So that's been my thing, is that what we do the census has a bigger impact, in my opinion, than any other industry. And so when they presented this to me, I told them I would make time to try to get the count right and make sure that everybody's counted at the right time, at the right place here in the greater Houston area.
That's such a good point, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, specifically realtors, and I think it's great that you're leading the charge and getting involved and urging other realtors to get involved as well. I'm just curious, what types of questions do we typically see on the census?
Some of the questions you're going to see is that how many people live in your household? What's your ethnic origin? What's the relationship of those people? And those are the sort of questions. It's basically 11 questions, and it actually probably take about 10 minutes to answer. This is just so important that we get everything exactly right. The people that are undercounted the most are children, because we don't think about the child in the crib. And then the second most is seniors. We don't forget that mom is now living with us, and so when we're filling out the census, we don't think about it. So that, I would probably say, that is the most importance of why the question should be answered. Let me say this also that's very helpful. This is how the census is going to be conducted in 2020. We've got 4 ways we're going to do it. We're going to do it internet, phone, or mailer. And if you don't respond those 3 ways, we're going to personally give you an interview and come knock on your door.
Come knocking on the door,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Very good. So obviously what Shad is sharing this morning is really important. I have a lot more questions for you.
Okay.
If you are tuning in this morning, go ahead and like this post and share it with your audience. Shad's going to be giving us some details about how you as a realtor can get involved and how you can encourage others to get involved in the process to do that as well. So speaking of, how you already mentioned the different ways that it impacts the real estate industry, whether it be retail development, schools, even just having the proper elected officials. It obviously impacts the real estate industry. How can realtors get involved?
Well, the first thing you can do is reach out to your customers and clients and ask them to be counted. and send them information on why it's important. My role is to provide that information to them, and so they can send it out, or they can go to census.gov and get information, or they can go to the YouTube channel for the census and get all their questions answered. But how you can help us and how realtors can help us is basically March 12th starts census. It's game time. So what we need you to do is reach out and says, real estate office, we're going to allow our conference room. If you don't have internet at home, you can come up here and fill it out. Oh, by the way, maybe if you need help filling it out, we can make a provision here at our office that the census can send somebody down here. They can't fill it out for you, but they can at least answer questions. So we call them mobile questionnaire spots. So MQAs is what they call them. And so you can make that available. Even set up a couple of laptops, put it on the guest internet, and encourage clients and customers to come in. Better yet, look at your realtors in your office and say, hey guys, let's do a census fill out in the office.
Yeah.
Census day is April 1. Let's everybody fill out the census. Everybody come in the office, and if you need help, we can send people out to those locations who will be able to answer questions. Can't fill it out, but we can at least answer questions for you in the process. So that's where it is. People don't realize that realtors are really one of the trusted voices in the community. We're the windows of the community. We're in everybody's household. So it is so important that people feel confident that the trusted voice says it's okay. And confidentiality is going to be okay. So that's how realtors can help. And I think the last thing about realtors help is that it tells the community we're not about just making money, we care about your community. And so the only way to bring this funding back home is to make sure that everybody's counted correctly. And people don't realize disaster relief, the money that was given to Houston based on Harvey was based on the population. So if we undercount people, we don't get enough of those funds back. So it's really, really important. And I just look at realtors, we're concerned about private property rights, we are concerned about communities, we're concerned about good schools, and what way better to do it is just bring the funding back home.
That makes so much sense. What would you say, I'm sure you might have heard some backlash speaking, I know you've been speaking to other associations and things like that, maybe a little bit of backlash in regards to this being a political issue. What would you say to somebody that maybe says that?
Well, the American Constitution says that we will count everybody every 10 years.
Yeah.
So this is really not a political issue. It's something that's in the Constitution, and it's something that has been done since 1790. So the first census in Houston, by the way, was done 1850.
So this is not new.
It is not new. And the 1850 census here in Houston, there were 2,394 people. I just saw that the other day. That's why I remembered that.
We've grown a little bit.
Quite a bit.
Very good. Okay, so if you're tuning in this morning and you have any questions for Shad about the census, go ahead and type them into the comments. I want to remind everyone as well that today's Member Focus Monday and the HR On the Move podcast for this week are sponsored by Drees Custom Homes. They've been building luxury home communities in Texas for more than 30 years. So you've mentioned a few reasons. If you could maybe just bulletize, why is this important for realtors to get involved? What are maybe the top few reasons that realtors should be getting involved?
I think the most important is that people who own homes pay a lot of property taxes. And so the first reason is that this funding comes back to the state. And if we're underfunded here in this state, then they raise your property taxes. Secondly, residential development is based on census data, whether or not a grocery store. I have some people who tell me, well, I won't name that grocery store. They'll just say, we've got this certain grocery store in our neighborhood, and we really want this grocery store in our neighborhood.
Right.
Well, it's based on head count. It's
Sure.
based on medium income. So, I think realtors, it gives us an opportunity to really embrace our communities and letting them know we're just not all about money. We are concerned not only private property rights, but we're concerned about the community itself. And we want to bring these funds home. So you have sidewalks fixed. We have street lights in the area. We have hospitals. The infrastructure is there. That is why it's so important. And if we are concerned about neighborhoods, and we are, then this is a way to improve our neighborhoods.
Yeah, very good, very good. So how long, you said it kicks off March 12th, the official start date is April 1st.
It kicks off March 12th. People would start getting their love letters in the mail that says
Love
from the
letters, I
centers.
like that, yeah.
And so they'll be getting those in the mail, and they will be getting a PIN number. And for those who don't get a PIN number, then they can still apply because the census is tied to the addresses. April 1 is Census Day.
Okay.
But we're going to start March 12th. So if you're a realtor and you want to set up an office and ask your clients and customers, come by my office and fill out the census. I'll have somebody here from the census to be able to help you. Or if you're in an area where we call low response areas are areas that people didn't self-respond.
Okay.
So then we have to send numerators into those areas and knock on doors. Well, we really need help in the low response areas. We really need a lot of help there. And so we're going to need realtors that have offices in low response areas to come out and says, hey, Shad, hey, 2020 Census, won't you come in my office, and I'm going to encourage, or you can tell people I'm a hot spot, so to speak. You can come here and fill out the census, and we'll have somebody between these hours here to help you if you need to.
I would also imagine if you're a realtor who speaks a language other than English, that it would be very important for you to get this out to your audience or your clients and customers who don't speak English.
We're doing the census in 13 languages, and so if you receive your envelope with the census to fill out the mail back, it's in English and Spanish. And but if you call on the phone, we have at least 13 languages there that's available. If a numerator knocks on your door and you speak Cantonese and they don't, then what we're going to do is bring somebody there who speaks Cantonese and then be able to do the census there.
So how long does this last? How long will
we will have everybody counted in this country by July 31st.
That's a deadline.
Deadline.
That's our
Right.
deadline.
And then we're going to massage, look for duplicates,
Right.
all of that. And it needs to be on the president's desk by December 31st, 2020. And then they start reapportioning, redistricting statewide, congressional-wise. I think it starts about March in 2021.
And when does this data become available to the public?
The data is sealed for 72 years. So when you give how many people live in your household and who the names are, that does not come out for 72 years.
Okay.
But the statistical data that we have, that will be used immediately as we go. Because what happens is that every 5 years, some of the people who are watching this right now may have gotten this 40-page census form, in which they sent out called the American Survey, which they do from time to time to kind of get an update. They also do a census with businesses every 5 years.
I'm just curious, why is it every 10 years? It seems like that's a long period of time, and then we have these other surveys that come in between.
Well, because the Constitution says,
that's what it says.
yeah, in 1790, it said they said that the census
Every
will
10
be
years.
done every 10
Yeah.
years, and I think it's probably appropriate. As I was sharing with you, when I went back and did the history of the census in just Houston, to see the 1850 census where they were concerned with who could read and write, they could concerned with the whether or not how many slaves somebody had, or whether or not how many free colored people were there. It was quite interesting to see that census, and in the end, only 2,394 people were in Houston, and to see the population grow as we move forward. And so I just think it's really, really important that realtors get involved and help us bring this funding back. Infrastructure. We're the only major city without a real rail system. I mean real rail, where you can live in one area and not even get in your car and drive all the way back from the suburbs. But how does that funding happen? It's based on population.
Okay. A question came in from Lois. So she's just curious about if people don't participate in the census, that it increases property taxes. How does the census dictate to HCAD?
Okay. Well, first of all, if we're undercounted, we don't get our funding back from the federal government that's distributed among all the cities. So if we have a shortfall in funding, what does the state government and local governments do? They raise property taxes to make up that difference.
Okay.
And so that's how that works there.
That makes sense. Very good. Thank you. If you have any other questions for Shad, type them into the comments. I do still have a few other questions for you, though.
Okay.
You've mentioned 4 ways. So how exactly can we participate again?
You can participate by just taking your cell phone and going out and putting in internet. You can do it. Mailer, you can do it. Or you can just wait for an interviewer to come by and knock on your door.
You just want to have some company.
Right. And we'll sit there and do those 11 questions. That takes 10 minutes.
So that was my next question. It takes 10 minutes.
Takes 10 minutes to do it, and it's all statistical information.
So it's information you should already know.
Right. It's statistical. We don't use it to determine who's in your house. It's just statistical data is what we are gathering.
So I guess another question that would come up would be about confidentiality.
Okay.
Can you speak to that?
Sure, I can. Title 13 says we can't share information with any other government agency. So the Homeland Security can't, Census can't share things with the Homeland Security, can't share with the FBI, can't share with ISIS, can't share with IRS. It's against the law to do it. In 1982, there was a Supreme Court decision that made that stand. So actually, for any government agency to get your information, it would take an act of Congress to change the law.
Wow.
So you can't do it with an executive order. Nothing happens like that. So this is the most confidential type data collection that's out there. Your data is safe because we've taken all the what word I want to use? Precautions. We've taken all the precautions. I had a senior moment there. We've taken all the precautions there to make sure that the data is going to be safe. So it's okay to say how many people in your household. Your landlord would never know that for at least 72 years.
And then the landlord probably doesn't care,
right.
All right, very good. Well, that is all the questions I have for you. I don't see any other questions coming in from our members. Do you have anything else you want to share?
I just want to tell people that the 2020 census is important. For Houston, it's really important because we're trying to become the 3rd largest city in this country. And what that does for us is bring the funding for infrastructure, hospitals, schools. It brings all of that back to our community. We pay property taxes. We have some of the highest property taxes out there. Why not make sure that we get our federal funding back? And for realtors, keep in mind that we undercount one district or the other, then we possibly would have a realtor champion being redistricted into a same district of another realtor champion. We want to make sure that we have an accurate count. We count everybody one time in the right place. And it's just so important that our community get involved. And realtors, guys, you've been great helping me get partnerships and working out with me and saying, hey, Shad, we're going to let our residents know. We're going to let our customers and clients know. But most importantly, I need your help with the HOAs.
Yeah.
They have been, and it affects everything they do. Okay, but they seem to have had the biggest resistance. I've had some of the large HOAs get involved, like First Colony, Sienna Plantation. Some of the Canyon Gate communities have gotten involved, but overall, that's been my biggest struggles, getting HOAs. And keep in mind, if you're in a gated community, you should be telling all your neighbors, y'all need to self-respond, or we're going to have to open the gates and let the numerators in.
That's a really good point.
Right.
So, realtors, if you're watching this, reach out to Shad. If you maybe, I'm sure you could go to people's offices and talk to them.
Right.
If there's an HOA that you have an in with, maybe let Shad know.
And I'll make that phone call.
Yeah.
All I ask you to do is make that introduction. We will come out to your office if you want to set up your office for a mobile site, questionnaire site. I'm willing to do that. And we'll have people there. You give us a couple of hours, Shad. This is going to be available at this time, and we'll have somebody there to help people come in. And it's a good way to see your office, your customers, your clients to see that you're real. And maybe people who've been driving by your office never came by. And now they're coming in, oh, this is really nice. This is a professional company here. So yes, I'm encouraging, give me a call. I'd be more than happy to help you. Just let me know. It's a lot of partner specialists here in Houston. I'm just one of them.
Very good. Melissa said, thank you both. This is good to know. Chandel said, motivated Monday to everyone.
All right,
so let's
thank
get
you.
motivated to fill out the census and get everyone counted, right?
Thank you. It starts March 12th. It starts, and April 1 is Census Day. So have a Census Day in all your offices.
There you go.
Have it at HAR. We come here at HAR and get all the employees to do the census on Census
That's
Day.
a good idea. Let's
Right
do
there.
it. So just another reminder that today's Member Focus Monday and this week's HAR on the Move podcast are sponsored by Drees Custom Homes. They've been developing luxury home communities in Texas for more than 30 years. That is all for this Member Focus Monday. We will see you back next Monday, same time, same place. Have a great week.